20 jobs that can actually make you rich. Hello, and welcome to MT. Today, we are going to talk about something that pretty much everyone thinks about at some point in their life. We are going to talk about money. Not just a little bit of money, but a lot of money. The kind of money that can make you a millionaire. We are going to talk about the jobs that can get you there. Now, when you hear the word millionaire, you might think of movie stars or famous singers or people who invent some crazy new app on their phone. And sure, those people can become millionaires. But for most normal people like you and me, that path feels a bit like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. It is a lot about luck. Today, we are not going to talk about luck. We are going to talk about real jobs that exist in the real world. Jobs that you can actually study for, train for, and work your way up in. These are jobs where getting a very big paycheck is not a crazy dream. It is a real possibility if you are willing to put in the work. We are going to break down what these jobs are, what people in these jobs actually do all day, and most importantly, how a person can use that job to build up a huge amount of money over time.
My name is Mark Cheney.
Because here is a little
In
secret we will talk about more
2021,
later.
I had been cave
Just
diving
having a
for
big
over
paycheck
15
does
years.
not automatically make
I was
you rich.
meticulous,
You have
I
to
was
be smart
careful,
with the money
and I had
after
logged
you get
hundreds
it.
of hours in
So
some of the
we will
most
talk about
unforgiving
that too.
systems in Florida
This
and
is
Mexico.
just a simple conversation about jobs and money. Before we begin, I have a question for you, and I want you to be honest. What was the very first job you ever had to earn money? It does not matter what it was. Maybe you delivered newspapers, or cut your neighbor's grass, or worked at a fast food place for a summer. Whatever it was, tell me about it in the comments below. I think it is interesting to see where we all started. All right, let's get into the first kind of job that can make you a lot of money. Let's talk about doctors. Now, when I say doctor, you probably have a picture in your mind. Someone with a white coat and a stethoscope around their neck. And that is right. But there are many, many different kinds of doctors. The doctors who make the most money are usually specialists. This means they focus on one very specific part of the body or one very specific type of problem. Think about a surgeon. A surgeon's job is to fix people's bodies by cutting them open. That sounds scary, and it is. It is a huge responsibility. If a surgeon makes a mistake, someone could die. That massive responsibility is one of the main reasons they get paid so much money. People are willing to pay a lot to have someone they trust fix a serious problem inside their body. Think about a heart surgeon. This is a doctor who operates on the most important muscle in your whole body, your heart. The amount of training to become a heart surgeon is almost unbelievable. First, you have to go to college and get really good grades for 4 years. Then you have to go to medical school for another 4 years, where you learn about the entire human body. After that, you are a doctor, but you are not a surgeon yet. You have to go through many more years of training in a hospital, called a residency. For a surgeon, this can be 5, 6, or even more years of working incredibly long hours, sometimes all night long, learning how to do operations. So, by the time someone is a fully trained heart surgeon, they might be in their mid-30s, and they have spent more than a decade just learning. They are also probably in a lot of debt from all that expensive school. So the huge paychecks they get are partly to pay them back for all that time, effort, and money they put into their training. The same goes for other specialists like neurosurgeons who operate on the brain, or anesthesiologists who are the doctors that put you to sleep before surgery and make sure you wake up. Their job is also incredibly important and comes with huge responsibility. So how does a doctor become a millionaire? Well, the first part is the giant salary. These types of doctors can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, sometimes over $1 million a year depending on where they work and how skilled they are. That is a lot of money coming in. But remember what I said earlier? A big paycheck alone does not make you rich. I have known doctors who make $500,000 a year but have almost no money saved. How is that possible? Because they spend it all. They buy a giant house, 2 fancy cars, go on expensive vacations, and send their kids to the most expensive schools. They live a life that costs $500,000 a year. At the end of the year, they have nothing left over. The doctor who becomes a millionaire is different. They get that big paycheck, and the first thing they do is they pay themselves. They take a big chunk of that money, maybe 20 or 30%, and they put it away before they do anything else. they save it, and they invest it. Investing just means you are putting your money to work. You buy little pieces of good companies, and as those companies grow, your money grows too. The millionaire doctor still lives a very nice life. They do not live in a tiny apartment and eat instant noodles, but they do not buy the 10-bedroom mansion when a 5-bedroom house is more than enough. They do not buy a brand new luxury car every single year. They understand that the goal is not to look rich, the goal is to actually be rich. And you get there by letting your money grow over time. With the kind of salary a top specialist doctor makes, if they are smart with their money for 10 or 15 years, they can easily become a millionaire. It is not about luck. It is about a long, hard road of training, followed by years of smart, disciplined decisions with their money. Now let's switch gears completely. Let's go from the hospital to the world of computers. Let's talk about software developers. This is a job that did not even exist 100 years ago, but now it is one of the best ways to make a lot of money, especially when you are young. So, what is a software developer? In simple terms, they are the people who tell computers what to do. Every app on your phone, every website you visit, every video game you play, it was all built by software developers. They write the instructions, called code, that make all of that stuff work. You can think of it like a recipe. A recipe tells you the ingredients and the steps to make a cake. Code tells the computer the steps it needs to follow to make a program work. Why do these people get paid so much? It is simple supply and demand. The world wants more and more software. Every company in the world now needs a website. Many companies need their own apps. They need software to manage their money, to keep track of their customers, and to do a million other things. There is a huge demand for new software, but there are not enough people who are really, really good at building it. It takes a certain kind of brain to be a great software developer. You have to be good at logic and solving puzzles. It can be very frustrating work. You can spend a whole day trying to find one tiny mistake in thousands of lines of code. Because of this, companies are willing to pay a lot of money to get the best developers. They know that one great developer can be 10 times more productive than an average one. The path to becoming a developer is also very different from becoming a doctor. You do not have to go to school for 12 years. Some people go to college for 4 years and get a degree in computer science, and that is a great path. But many successful developers are self-taught. They learned by watching videos online, by doing online courses, and by just building things on their own for fun. This means you can get into this field without having a huge amount of student debt. If you can prove you can build good software, many companies do not care if you have a fancy degree or not. They just want to see that you can do the work. This makes it a very powerful career path for people who might not have the money or the time to go to a traditional university for many years. So, how do software developers become millionaires? There are a few different ways. The first way is similar to the doctor. You get a job at a big, successful tech company. These companies pay very high salaries, often well over $100,000 a year even for people who are just starting. If you are a senior developer with a lot of experience, you can make $200,000 or $300,000 a year or even more. On top of the salary, these companies often give you something called stock. This means they give you a tiny piece of the company. If the company does well and its stock price goes up, your little pieces become worth a lot more money. It is not uncommon for a developer at a top tech company to get tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in stock every year. So you have a big salary coming in, and you have this stock that is growing in value. Just like the doctor, if you are smart and you save a lot of that money and invest it, you can become a millionaire pretty quickly. But there is another, more exciting path for a developer. Instead of working for a big company, you can go work for a startup. A startup is a brand new company that is trying to build something new. Working at a startup is a big risk. Most startups fail. If it fails, you lose your job. But if the startup succeeds, the rewards can be enormous. Startups usually cannot pay the same huge salaries as the big companies. So to get people to come work for them, they give them a lot more stock. You might get a lower salary, but you get a bigger piece of the company. If that startup becomes the next big thing, your small piece of the company could suddenly be worth millions of dollars. This is like buying a lottery ticket, but it is a lottery ticket that you can help win through your hard work. Many of the millionaires in the tech world got rich this way. They joined a small company they believed in, they worked like crazy for a few years, and then the company got huge and their stock made them rich overnight. The third way is, of course, to start your own company. You have an idea for an app or a piece of software, and you build it yourself. This is the hardest path of all, but it also has the highest reward. If you create something that millions of people want to use, you can become incredibly wealthy. Let's move on to another high-paying job, one that involves a lot of travel and a cool uniform. Let's talk about airline pilots. From the outside, being a pilot seems like a dream job. You get to fly these amazing machines all over the world. You get to see different cities. And you get paid well to do it. And all of that is true. But it is also a job with an incredible amount of responsibility, just like a surgeon. When a pilot is flying a plane, they have the lives of hundreds of people in their hands. Everything has to be done perfectly. There is no room for error. That level of responsibility is a big reason why experienced pilots at major airlines get paid so much money. We trust them with our lives, and that trust is rewarded with a very high salary. The journey to becoming an airline pilot is long and very, very expensive. You do not just decide one day to be a pilot and start flying for a big airline the next week. First, you have to get your private pilot's license, which allows you to fly small planes by yourself. This involves a lot of lessons with an instructor, and you have to pay for the plane and the fuel and the instructor's time. This alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars. After that, you need to get more advanced licenses and ratings that allow you to fly in bad weather, fly planes with more than one engine, and so on. Each of these costs more money and takes more time. The biggest challenge is building up your flight hours. The major airlines will not even look at you until you have thousands of hours of flight experience. So how do you get those hours? You have to take low-paying pilot jobs. You might be a flight instructor yourself, teaching new people how to fly. Or you might fly small planes that carry cargo, or do sightseeing tours. For many years, you work long hours for not a lot of money, just to build up that experience in your logbook. It is a real grind. Many people give up during this phase. But if you stick with it, you can eventually get a job with a smaller regional airline. The pay gets better, but it is still not amazing. You do that for a few more years, and then finally, you might get the call from one of the big major airlines. That is when your career really takes off, literally. Once you are a captain at a major airline, the pay is fantastic. Senior captains can make $200,000, $300,000, or even $400,000 a year. They also have a great lifestyle in some ways. They might only work about 15 days a month. That sounds amazing, right? But you have to remember that those work days can be very long, and you are often away from home for several days at a time, staying in hotels in different cities. It can be a tough lifestyle for family life, but the financial rewards are significant. So how does a pilot become a millionaire? It is the same story we have seen before, just in a different uniform. They take their very high salary, and they are very careful with it. Pilots are often very good planners. Their job requires them to be meticulous and detail-oriented, and they often apply that same thinking to their finances. They know they have a limited number of years they can fly, so they have to plan for a long retirement. They max out their retirement accounts, they invest their savings wisely, and they avoid a lot of debt. They might have a nice house and a nice car, but they usually are not flashy. Over a 20 or 30-year career, that consistent saving and investing of a high salary will almost certainly turn them into a millionaire. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a get-rich-slowly and steadily plan, built on a career that demands perfection. Now, let's step out of the cockpit and into the world of big money, Wall Street. Let's talk about a job title that many people have heard of, but few really understand: the investment banker. These are the people who work for the giant banks in big cities like New York and London. Their job, in the simplest sense, is to help companies get money. Big companies always need money for different things. They might want to build a new factory, or they might want to buy a smaller company. They often need huge amounts of money to do this, hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. They cannot just go to their local bank and ask for a loan, so they go to an investment bank. The investment banker's job is to figure out the best way for that company to get the money. Maybe they help the company sell little pieces of itself to the public, which is called an initial public offering, or IPO. Or maybe they help the company sell bonds, which is like a loan from thousands of different people at once. The investment bank advises the company on how to do this, and they handle the whole complicated process. For doing this, the bank gets paid a fee, and that fee is usually a small percentage of the huge amount of money involved. A small percentage of $1 billion is still a lot of money. The life of an investment banker, especially a young one, is famously brutal. People in this job are known for working the longest hours of almost any profession. We are talking about working 80, 90, or even 100 hours a week. That means you get to the office before the sun comes up, and you leave long after the sun has gone down. You work most weekends. Your life basically becomes your job. You spend your days and nights creating presentations, analyzing numbers in spreadsheets, and being on call for your bosses and clients at all hours. It is an incredibly high-stress environment. So why would anyone want to do this? The answer is simple: the money. Even a brand new investment banker, fresh out of college, can make over $100,000 in their very first year. And that is just the salary. The real money comes from the bonus. At the end of the year, if the bank did well and you did a good job, you get a huge bonus payment. For a young banker, the bonus can be as big as their salary. For senior bankers, the bonus can be many times their salary. It can be millions of dollars. This is a field where you can become a millionaire very, very quickly. It is not uncommon for someone to be a millionaire by the time they are 30 years old. The path is straightforward. You get into one of the best universities, you get perfect grades, you do internships at banks during your summers, and you network like crazy to get a job offer. Then, you basically give up your 20s to work harder than you ever thought possible. You take that huge income, and because you have no time to spend it anyway, you save most of it. You live in a small apartment with roommates, even though you could afford a palace, because you are never home. You eat most of your meals at your desk, paid for by the company. All that money just piles up in your bank account. You invest it aggressively, and within a few years, the numbers get very big, very fast. But there is a big catch. Most people cannot handle it. The burnout rate in investment banking is extremely high. Many people only last for 2 or 3 years. They make a lot of money in that short time, and then they leave to go do a job with a much better work-life balance. They use the money they saved as a launch pad for the next stage of their life. The ones who stay and climb the ladder to become managing directors are the ones who can make tens of millions of dollars over their career. It is one of the fastest ways to get rich in the world, but you are paying for it with your time, your health, and your social life. It is a trade-off that most people are not willing to make, but for the few who are, the financial rewards are almost unbelievable. So far, we have talked about jobs where you work for someone else. You are an employee of a hospital, an airline, or a bank. But there is another path, a path that is riskier than all the others, but also has a reward that is technically unlimited. This is the path of the entrepreneur, or to put it simply, the person who starts their own business. Being an entrepreneur is not a job in the traditional sense. You do not get a steady paycheck. In the beginning, you probably do not get any paycheck at all. You are the boss, the employee, the janitor, and the coffee maker all at the same time. You have an idea for a product or a service that you think people will pay money for, and you decide to build a company around that idea. This is the hardest path we will talk about today. The vast majority of new businesses fail within the first few years. You can pour all of your life savings into your idea, work for years without making a penny, and end up with nothing to show for it. It can be a crushing experience. You have to be willing to take a huge risk. You have to be incredibly passionate about what you are doing, because that passion is the only thing that will get you through the tough times when everyone else is telling you to just give up and get a normal job. You have to be a jack of all trades. You need to understand your product, you need to know how to sell it, you need to know how to manage money, and you need to know how to hire and lead people. It is an endless learning process. So if it is so hard and so risky, why do people do it? Because if you succeed, you are not just earning a salary, you are building an asset. You are creating something of value that you own. Let's say you start a simple business, like a cleaning company. At first, it is just you. You go to people's houses and you clean them. You make some money, but you are limited by the number of hours in the day. You can only clean so many houses yourself. The real leap happens when you hire your first employee. Now, you can be cleaning one house while your employee is cleaning another house. You are making money from your own work and a little bit of money from your employee's work. Then, you hire another employee and another. Soon, you might have a team of 10 cleaners. You are not cleaning houses anymore. Your job is now to manage the business. You schedule the jobs, you handle the marketing, you make sure the customers are happy. You have built a system that makes money. The company itself is now worth something. You could sell that company to someone else for a big payday. Now imagine this idea applied to something bigger. You start a software company, a restaurant chain, a construction company, or an online store. If you can build a business that serves thousands or even millions of people, the amount of money you can make is staggering. Unlike a doctor or a pilot whose income is limited by their time, a business owner's income is limited only by how big and successful their company can become. This is how most of the richest people in the world got their wealth. They did not get it from a salary, they got it from owning a business, or many businesses. The path to becoming a millionaire as an entrepreneur is about creating value for others. You find a problem that people have, and you offer them a solution that they are willing to pay for. The more value you create, the more money you can make. It is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward career. It takes a special kind of person to pull it off, but for those who do, it is the most certain path to not just becoming a millionaire, but to building true, lasting wealth. Let's talk about another job that requires a lot of school and a lot of brain power, being a lawyer. Just like with doctors, there are many different kinds of lawyers. There are lawyers who help people who have been in a car accident, lawyers who help people buy a house, and lawyers who defend people who have been accused of a crime. These lawyers can make a good living, but the ones who make the absolute most money are usually corporate lawyers. A corporate lawyer works with big businesses. Their job is to help companies with all of their complex legal problems. Remember when we talked about investment bankers helping companies get money by selling stock? Well, that whole process involves a mountain of legal paperwork, and corporate lawyers are the ones who handle it. When one big company wants to buy another big company, it is an incredibly complicated deal. Corporate lawyers from both sides spend months negotiating the details and making sure everything is done legally. These big companies are dealing with huge amounts of money, sometimes billions of dollars. If they make a legal mistake, it could cost them a fortune. So, they are willing to pay a lot of money to hire the best lawyers from the best law firms to make sure they are protected. Lawyers at these top firms bill their time by the hour, and their hourly rate can be shocking. It can be $500, $800, or even over $1,000 for just 1 hour of a top lawyer's time. They work on very complex problems that require a deep understanding of the law and a huge amount of attention to detail. Just like the investment bankers, they also work very long hours, especially when they are working on a big, important deal. The path to becoming a high-paid corporate lawyer is very traditional. You have to go to college and do very well. Then you have to take a very difficult test called the LSAT. Your score on that test, along with your college grades, will determine what law school you can get into. To get a job at one of the top-paying law firms, you generally have to get into one of the top 10 or 15 law schools in the country. Law school is 3 years long and is very expensive. So, just like doctors, lawyers often start their careers with a huge amount of student loan debt. But the starting salaries at these top firms are so high that they can pay it off relatively quickly. A brand new lawyer at a top firm in a big city can make around $200,000 a year. As they get more experience and become more valuable to the firm, their salary goes up. If they work hard and are very good at their job, they can make partner at the firm. A partner is one of the owners of the law firm. They do not just get a salary, they get a share of the firm's profits. Partners at the most successful law firms can make over $1 million a year, with some making many millions a year. How does a lawyer become a millionaire? The path is very clear. They follow the high-income employee model. They get a very big paycheck from their law firm. They live a lifestyle that is nice, but costs much less than what they earn. They take the large amount of money that is left over every month, and they save it and invest it consistently for many years. Because their income is so high, the numbers can grow very quickly. A successful lawyer who is smart with their money can expect to become a millionaire by their late 30s or early 40s. The work is demanding and stressful, and it requires a lot of intelligence and hard work over a long period of time. But the financial payoff for reaching the top of the legal profession is enormous. It is a well-worn path to wealth for those who are willing to walk it. Now for a job that you might not expect to be on a list like this. A job that does not require a 4-year college degree. Let's talk about being a top salesperson. When you hear the word salesperson, you might think of someone working in a store trying to sell you a new television, or a used car salesman trying to make a quick buck. And those are types of sales jobs, but they are not the kind we are talking about here. We are talking about people who sell very expensive and very complicated things to big businesses. Think about a person who sells medical equipment. They might sell a single machine to a hospital that costs $2 million. Or think about someone who sells complex software to a giant corporation. The deal might be worth millions of dollars a year in subscription fees. Or what about someone who sells airplanes to an airline? Those deals are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The people who do this kind of high-level selling are not just smooth talkers. They are highly intelligent, very strategic, and they have to deeply understand both the product they are selling and the customer's business. They have to build relationships with powerful people at these companies over a long period of time. A single sale might take a year or more to complete. It is a very challenging job that involves a lot of rejection. You will hear the word no a lot more than you hear the word yes. But the rewards for being good at it are astronomical. The reason is because of one simple word: commission. Most high-level salespeople get a base salary, which is a decent amount of money they get no matter what, but the majority of their income comes from commission. Commission is a percentage of the sales they make. Let's imagine you sell software, and your company gives you a 5% commission on every deal you close. If you sell a $1 million software package to a company, your commission is $50,000 from that one sale. If you have a great year and you sell $20 million worth of software, your commission would be $1 million. You can see how the numbers can get crazy very quickly. In these kinds of jobs, there is often no limit to how much you can earn. The company is happy to pay you a huge commission check because it means you made them an even huger amount of money. A great salesperson can often earn more money than the CEO of the company. It is one of the few jobs where your income is directly tied to your performance. If you perform well, you get paid well. If you do not perform, you will not make much money and you will probably lose your job. There is no single path to getting into a job like this. Some people get college degrees in business or marketing. Others just have a natural talent for connecting with people and persuading them. They might start in a lower-level sales job and work their way up as they prove they can sell. The key to becoming a millionaire in sales is to get a job selling a high-priced product or service to big customers. Once you are in that role, it is all about performance. The millionaire salesperson works incredibly hard. They are always learning about their industry, they are always networking, and they are masters of building trust with their clients. When they get those big commission checks, they do not go out and buy a Ferrari. They know that sales can be unpredictable. You might have one amazing year and then a slower year. So they save and invest their money aggressively when times are good, building up a large nest egg. They build a financial cushion so they are not stressed during the slower periods. Over a decade or two of being a top performer in a high-commission sales role, it is very possible to accumulate millions of dollars. It is a career based on skill, persistence, and the direct reward for creating value. Let's go back to jobs that involve working with your hands, but this time with a twist. Let's talk about skilled trades. I am talking about plumbers, electricians, and elevator mechanics. These are jobs that our society cannot function without. If your pipes burst or your electricity goes out, you need one of these skilled professionals to come and fix it, and you need them right now. These are not glamorous jobs. They can be dirty and physically demanding, but they require a huge amount of specialized knowledge and skill. And because they are so essential, these professionals can make a very good living. An experienced electrician or plumber who works for a good company can make a very solid salary, sometimes close to or over $100,000 a year in some areas. But that is not the millionaire path we are talking about. The path to becoming a millionaire in the skilled trades is not to be an employee for your whole life. The path is to start your own business. Think about it. You spend a few years working for someone else. You go to trade school or do an apprenticeship to learn the craft inside and out. You become an expert plumber or electrician. You get your license. You are a master of your trade. But as an employee, there is a cap on how much you can earn. Your boss is paying you a salary, but he is charging the customers much more for your time. The difference is the company's profit. The way to get rich is to capture that profit for yourself. You save up some money, you buy a van and the tools you need, and you start your own plumbing or electrical business. At first, it is just you. You are working just as hard as before, but now all the money the customer pays comes directly to you after your expenses. Your income takes a big jump, but the real magic happens when you do what the entrepreneur we talked about earlier does. You hire your first employee. You find another skilled plumber and you hire them. You buy them a van. Now you have two people, you and your employee, out there fixing problems and making money for your company. You take on more jobs than you could by yourself. You make money from your own labor, and you make a profit from your employee's labor. Then you hire another and another. Before you know it, you might have a company with 10 or 20 plumbers or electricians working for you. You are not the one in the van with the tools anymore. Your job is now running the business. You are in charge of marketing to get new customers, scheduling all the jobs, managing your employees, and making sure the finances are in order. You have built a money-making machine. Your company might be doing millions of dollars in revenue each year. As the owner, you get to keep the profits. This is how a plumber can become a millionaire. It is not from fixing toilets himself for 30 years. It is from building a business that fixes thousands of toilets every year. This path is amazing because it does not require a college degree and the mountain of debt that comes with it. The demand for skilled trades is also huge and is not going away. People will always have plumbing and electrical problems. These jobs cannot be outsourced to another country. You cannot have someone in another country fix the wiring in your house over the internet. It requires a real person to be there. This makes it a very stable and reliable field to build a business in. It takes years of hard work, learning a real skill, and then taking the leap into business ownership. But for those who do it right, it is one of the most reliable and down-to-earth ways to build $1 million net worth, or even much more. Let's head back into the medical field for one more, but this one is a little different. Let's talk about dentists. We all know what a dentist does. They fix our teeth. And just about everyone has to go to the dentist. It is a service that is always in demand. Being a dentist requires a lot of education, just like being a medical doctor. You have to go to college for 4 years and get great grades, especially in science classes. Then you have to go to dental school for another 4 years. Dental school is very challenging and very expensive. Many dentists graduate with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. After they graduate, they can start working as a dentist. Many dentists work for a larger dental practice when they first start out. They earn a good salary, often well into the 6 figures, and they gain valuable experience. A general dentist who is an employee can make a very comfortable living. But just like with the skilled trades, the real path to big money in dentistry is through ownership. Most dentists dream of one day owning their own private practice. This means they are not just a dentist, they are also a small business owner. They have to rent or buy an office, fill it with incredibly expensive dental equipment like chairs and x-ray machines, and hire a staff, including dental hygienists and a receptionist. It is a big investment and a big risk to start your own practice. But the payoff can be huge. When you own the practice, you get paid for the dental work you do yourself, and you also make a profit on the work your hygienists do. You are running a business. A successful dental practice can bring in a very large amount of revenue each year. The owner of the practice can often make 2, 3, or 4 times what a dentist who is just an employee makes. There are also specialists within dentistry who can make even more money. An orthodontist, the person who puts braces on teeth, is one example. They go through even more years of specialized training after dental school. Because their work is so specialized and costs so much, they can have a very high income. The same is true for oral surgeons who do complex surgery on the jaw and mouth. The combination of a high personal income from doing specialized dental work, plus the profits from owning a successful business, makes dentistry a very powerful path to becoming a millionaire. A dentist who owns their own practice for 20 or 30 years and is smart with their money will almost certainly become a multimillionaire. They work hard and provide an essential service, and they are rewarded both for their skill as a healthcare provider and their savvy as a business owner. Finally, let's talk about a path that is available in almost any big company in any industry. This is the path of climbing the corporate ladder to become a senior executive. You can start out in a normal entry-level job. Maybe you are an accountant, a marketing assistant, or a junior engineer. You make a decent salary, but nothing special. You do your job, but you do it better than anyone else. You show up early, you stay late, you are always looking for ways to help the company, and you have a great attitude. Your boss notices. When a promotion comes up for a manager position, you get it. Now you are in charge of a small team. Your pay goes up. You do a great job as a manager. Your team gets great results. A few years later, a director position opens up. A director is in charge of a whole department, managing other managers. You get that job. Your salary takes another big jump. You also might start getting a yearly bonus and some stock in the company. You keep performing at a high level. You become a vice president, then a senior vice president. Now you are one of the top leaders in the company. You are helping to make major decisions that affect the entire business. Your compensation at this level is completely different from a regular employee. You still get a high salary, maybe $300,000 or $400,000 a year. But the salary is now just a small part of how you get paid. You get a huge annual bonus that might be bigger than your salary. And most importantly, you get a large amount of company stock every year. The company wants you to think like an owner, so they make you an owner. If the company does well and its stock price goes up, the value of your stock grants can be enormous. It is not uncommon for a senior executive at a large public company to make over $1 million a year in total compensation. The people at the very top, the CEO and the other top executives, can make many millions of dollars a year. This path does not require you to have a specific degree, though a business degree can certainly help. What it really requires is a combination of hard work, intelligence, great people skills, and a bit of corporate politics. You have to be good at your job, but you also have to be good at managing people and leading teams. You have to be able to see the big picture of where the company is going. It is a long journey. It can take 20 or 30 years to climb all the way to the top. Along the way, you have to consistently outperform your peers, and you have to make a real impact on the business. For those who make it, the financial rewards are incredible. Becoming a millionaire is not a question of if, but when. The steady stream of high salaries, big bonuses, and valuable stock grants will build a massive amount of wealth over a long career. It is a marathon, not a sprint, but it is a proven path to the top 1% of earners. So, we have talked about a lot of different jobs: doctors, programmers, pilots, bankers, business owners, lawyers, salespeople, tradespeople, dentists, and executives. They are all very different, but they all have a few things in common. They all require a high level of skill, a lot of hard work, and they all provide a service that is very valuable to other people. But the most important lesson today is not just about picking the right job. A high income is a great tool, maybe the best tool for building wealth. But it is still just a tool. A fool with a tool is still a fool. You can make $500,000 a year and be broke if you spend $501,000 a year. The real secret, the thing that connects every single person who becomes a millionaire through their own efforts, is what they do with the money after they earn it. They do not let it slip through their fingers. They control their spending. They live a life that is well below what they could afford. This creates a gap between what they earn and what they spend. The bigger that gap is, the faster they can build wealth. They take all the money in that gap and they put it to work. They invest it in things that will grow in value over time. They buy pieces of great companies. They buy real estate. They let their money make babies. And then those money babies grow up and have babies of their own. It is a process called compound growth, and it is the most powerful force in the financial universe. By combining a high income with a high savings rate and smart investing over a long period of time, becoming a millionaire is not just a possibility, it is a mathematical certainty. The path you choose to earn that income is up to you. Find something you are good at, something you can become great at, and something that society values highly. Work hard to get to the top of that field. And then be smart with the money you earn. That is the blueprint. If you enjoyed this video and it gave you some things to think about, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. Thank you for watching.